It's kind of like the way doctors, it's like, oh, doctors are supposed to be really smart and helpful and kind people. It's like, no, they're not. A lot of them are dickheads.
I feel
And
the
then,
same way about disabled people.
I have kind of a heavier question, and then I have sort of a lighter line of questions. Are you in the mood for whichever?
I can do either.
Let's start with heavy and then we'll end on light.
Sure.
Okay, so you've joked that you went to your GP because you needed more material. Ha ha ha. And I'm just thinking the UK health system can't be more of a joke than the US healthcare system. So I
Yeah.
wanted to see if you felt like speaking on any of your experiences with the healthcare system and like pros, cons.
I've always been very lucky with the NHS. And it's like, so I know quite a lot of American people. Like, my first girlfriend was American, and yeah, I know how terrible the whole system is, particularly for people with chronic pain. And I dated someone in the UK, and the reason why she now lives in the UK is she could not afford to be in America. As much as she's proud to be from America and all that kind of stuff, she just can't afford it because they just wouldn't be able to treat her chronic pain. But for me personally, I've been very lucky. The level of my disability that I have, I've always felt in control of what I wanted to do with my body, and maybe took advantage of it a little bit as a teenager, as someone in my early 20s. I have got a bit of a back injury at the minute, that I've had for a couple of years, but I'm now managing it much better, and I'm stretching, and went to go see a physio that specializes in cerebral palsy, and like, funny enough, that makes a big difference.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that's helping. What a boring answer to that question. Thank
Yeah, when you said, "Oh, we're going to go heavy," I'm like, "Oh, great, we can get right into the the love life stuff that really screwed me over for years, because I've been sad for years."
you. Well, we can get into that if you want, but it doesn't sound like
No, I mean, we can get into my love life, but it is tumultuous.
being in healthcare in the US. I'm
Yeah,
expecting every conversation about healthcare to be kind of a downer. So I guess
sure.
it's refreshing and unexpected to be like, yeah, it's been pretty good.
Well, I mean, I've been very lucky in the fact that I've never had to have a surgery. I've never broken a bone. I've never like any kind of ill for any period of time. I remember when I was a kid, I probably would have been 8 or 9. So I used to have my feet in like a cast at night in order to be able to, because my feet point downwards. My parents wanted me to have my feet be how they're supposed to, in quotation marks.
Well, it helps. It
Um,
stretches the tendon so you can
yeah,
walk.
yeah, yeah. And so, having a more natural, a more normative gait, I would be
Physiologic.
in night splints and in a cast overnight. And there was a time when I was sort of 8 or 9 where I think I was in the cast for a couple of weeks, if not months, in order to try and get my feet into the position that they wanted them to get into. But and even that, you know, wasn't sort of a stressful or difficult time. Like, I just got given a bunch of homework that I had to do at home and just did it there. As far as my recollection is, I'm sure my mum would tell you a different story. But I just think that, like, the way I've always been wired is sort of, okay, well, I'm fucked enough as it is. I don't need to be jumping off walls or getting into cars or anything like that. So, I'm quite happy being this level of disabled.
I'm so glad that that's been a good experience and you've kept yourself safe. From the US perspective, even people in your situation,
Mm,
white man, lots of privilege, like
sure.
still face discrimination, mistreatment,
Yeah.
not sort of, they don't always get the standard of care. I guess I was wondering if it was similar in the UK, and clearly I would say, just from your perspective, it sounds like that has not been your experience, which is
It's
very
not. It's not my fault. There's plenty of times where people have been misdiagnosed or mistreated, or you know.
it's a good reminder that doctors are humans too. I feel like in the healthcare system, there's
Yeah,
this like us and them divide. And so people who come see the doctors, they don't see doctors as like, oh, they're also patients, or like they might
yeah.
also have stuff going on.
But the
Um,
thing about it, I mean, I'm going to try really hard not to get into my big socialist rant. Us versus them is ultimately just 1% trying to make us into 99 1%, so that we never, overthrow them and get all of their money and their yachts, and we're happy living in the lives we live. because we're always blaming somebody else. But again, us versus them is for doctors and patients, particularly in America. If you create the divide between the doctors and the patients, they're not questioning the healthcare system, which is the real problem, because doctors are having to work within a system, patients are trying to get seen. And so this is the whole point of what the 1% are doing. It's been going on for generations, whether it's immigrants, whether it's black people, whether it's gay people, whatever it is.
Every marginalized group that the masses.
Every marginalized group has had it at some stage. And here's my prediction. I think when transphobia becomes as socially unacceptable as homophobia is or racism is, it'll move on to disabled people, because we are going to be the next people. Because they're going to be like, they're taking all your benefits. They don't do any work.
I'd argue that we're already there. On a lighter note, yeah, I wanted to talk about Harry Potter.
Great.
You have a joke where you say disabled people call able-bodied people patronizing wankers.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how even within the able-bodied population, there's still people who are considered disabled, who identify as disabled, right? Even if they're not apparently disabled, maybe they have a mental health issue or whatnot, or they're not disabled at that time. So sometimes I call non-disabled people pre-disabled.
Right. That's fine.
I was wondering, like, what a squib would be. Like, if non-disabled people are muggles, like, what are squibs?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, like, the child of two disabled people turns out to be able-bodied.
Right?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I've never thought about it. And I have to congratulate you, because there's not a lot of questions about Harry Potter that I haven't been asked during my 34 years on this planet. I think allies should be on the team, right? Just in general. Whether or not you're an ally because you've done a huge amount of work within your postdoctorate life, or because you are a family member or a friend of a disabled person, you're on our team.
I guess more generically, I'm just wondering, like, what house are you in? Are you a Gryffindor?
I think you can answer that question for yourself. I have clearly got main character energy. Yes, I am a Gryffindor.
I don't know if you'll be surprised to hear that I identify with Slytherin.
That is a surprise. I'm usually quite good at picking people's houses. Obviously, I would have said Ravenclaw. Doctorate tends to lead that way. I mean, there are good Slytherins out there.
Well, I think that's part of what. Well, one, it's the Slytherin in me is proud that I'm surprising you, because that's my ambition to exceed people's expectations. Yeah. And I also feel that Slytherin needs some better representation. Like, there's a PR problem there, and I'm kind of on the team.
Sure. It's a little bit racist as a house, but apart from that,
yeah. Well, that was the 90s. Maybe it's a lot better now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tricky. I like, the thing about it is, like, because I'm such a Harry Potter nerd. Like, when I was taking the quiz, like, I knew the answers that were going to make me a Gryffindor. I think I am, but the thing about it is, I think I'm a Gryffindor because of Harry Potter. That's how much it's influenced me. I think my natural instinct is to be a Slytherin. I think naturally I am a bit of a dick, and I have to work really hard to be a nice person. Like, it's a constant effort for me to be a good person. And I think Harry Potter is a huge part of that.
I don't think you can. Well, maybe you can see. I've got like a little Deathly Hallows like necklace.
I can't see it on this, but I did see it on one of the other videos that I watched. It was.
Oh, you watched one of my videos?
I did, because I am nothing if not professional.
Well done.
I may have watched it at 4:55, but I watched it.
Well, that's excellent, because then you signed on like shortly after, and I've got a whole row of my Harry Potter row is like right down here out of frame, near and dear.
I think that's wise given the current climate.
I know. Why did Jo Rowling have to go? And
I don't think she had that strong an opinion on the trans issue. I think her big thing was about women's safety in public spaces, which I think we all agree is a valid thing to be. She's had her own previous trauma around that, and she's talked about that. But what happened is that she mentioned some things that may be slightly towards the right of center in terms of a pro-trans and anti-trans spectrum. She leaned slightly more anti-trans with maybe what she was saying, or maybe what she was hinting at or implying or whatever. She was called out for it. And because she's never admitted she's wrong, she's taken a firmer and firmer stance, and she's moved further and further across that spectrum. Part of the issue with that is left-wing people, and I consider myself one of these people, by the I think that's pretty obvious,
Oh,
but
really?
just to be clear, I'm very left-wing. But I think one of the issues that left-wing people have is we/they can have the tendency to be a little bit exclusionary, right? If you tweet something racist, you haven't said something racist, you are racist in a lot of people's views. And the people who are not exclusionary are the right. You go, oh yeah, you can't say anything these days. You cancelled as soon as you question one thing, you cancel. Oh, I've only got a book tour and 3 more books signed up ever since I've been cancelled, but I'm cancelled and it's awful. And like, come on, welcome to our side. And those are the people who are very welcoming to new members of their tribe. Whereas the left, as soon as you say something that is slightly anti-trans or slightly racist or slightly sexist or homophobic or whatever, you're labeled with that. I think that's why she's moved further and further across that spectrum.
I'm so glad that this conversation has turned to this direction. I mean, obviously it's a really uncomfortable topic as Harry Potter fans. Like, you know, it's not a nice part of this story that's in our lifetimes. But I just think it's so ironic that her story, the whole Harry Potter saga,
such a great gay allegory.
It teaches people about accountability, accepting people's differences, humility. And it's just like, oh, the person who that story came out of is not there anymore. She's way past that.
It's fun.
It's like even people who you would assume the best, they're still corruptible. They're still faulty. It's kind of like the way doctors, it's like, oh, doctors are supposed to be really smart and helpful and kind people. It's like, no, they're not. A lot of them are dickheads.
I feel the same way about disabled people, but yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And really, isn't that true equity where we're not prejudiced and assuming things about a whole group of people? It's like, we have to acknowledge that there are awesome people and there are dickheads, and like they can look and be like anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're also making me think of, you know, allyship. And earlier when you said, you know, allies like me are on the team, like I feel very welcomed by that, honestly. And it's not something I share about as often as I probably should, right? Like, yes, of course, in my work, it's very relevant. Like I see a lot of people who are dealing with disability, chronic illness. And then, yes, I have personal experiences with disability in my family. And then my own mental health issues primarily, I would say is the closest to that. But have I ever considered myself disabled? No. And you know, I don't think that would be appropriate for me to be like, oh, I am disabled, or I am sometimes like, no, I'm not. But there have been more instances than I would like where I've felt, even as an ally coming from a good place, a supportive place, I haven't felt welcomed. And I'm sure it's the same for people who aren't considered disabled enough, which, you know, I know that that's some of your experiences you've shared.
Yes. So my first Edinburgh show was about that. I got a lot of, I actually got my first online troll from a guy because I accepted to do a gig and the venue wasn't wheelchair accessible. And he said he called me a disabled coconut because I was apparently disabled on the outside, but not disabled on the inside. But I turned it into
your special title.
My first Edinburgh show. And so so I mean that's still available to watch. I think you can watch it on Amazon these days. But
down in the description.
It'll be down in the description. I don't make any money for anybody watching it, but you're more than welcome to. But yeah, no, I mean it's sort of funny, and like it is one of those things where it is difficult, and like it is always going to be a tricky thing. And I sort of the thing that was pinging in my brain as you were saying all that was, you know, the idea of allyship, and like I have a lot of gay friends. I have a lot of interaction. Interaction is probably a tricky word. I tend to be quite a lot of bisexual curvy women. It's very much my type. Anyway,
it's so funny because I'm bisexual.
Who would have thought that happened? Anyway, basically, the way I actually came out was I had a joke in my last show about how much I wanted to suck a dick, and my dad came to see the show, and I didn't know, and he was just in the audience. And afterwards, he was like, "That's a joke, right?" And I was like, "No." I was like, okay. But that's very liberal. It was fine. Anyway,
lovely.
I was talking to one of my bisexual female friends, and she was saying she is more welcome at Pride as a straight ally than as a bisexual woman. I didn't want to speak for anybody else's experience, but that was the thing that sort of clicked in my head of like, no, it's LGBT for a reason. The B
Yeah.
is there. This allyship and this sort of not feeling welcomed in and not being disabled enough or not being gay enough or whatever is again comes down to that 1%. Is that let's fight amongst ourselves. Like bisexual people are just gay people that are not fully committing is nonsense, right? Like, and there's so much bi erasure that if you're bi and you date a person of the opposite sex, you're straight, and if you're bi and you're dating a person of the same sex, you're gay. And like sexual past doesn't equal sexual present, and it comes down to that getting people to fight amongst themselves. Like, really, there is no reason in the world why gay people and lesbians and trans people should be fighting about amongst, particularly at Pride, of the idea of a bisexual person being there and it being, oh, should you really be here? Because it becomes this thing that we're fighting amongst ourselves in our team rather than the more we are safe and secure and united, the stronger front we can have against the people who are the reason why we don't potentially earn as much money as we'd like, or have the right sort of privileges and yada yada yada.
I feel like we can speak so much to how, like, it's the 1%, the people who are truly in power, they stay in power because of that vicious cycle of oppression where someone who's marginalized, they feel like life has been unfair, culture, society has been unfair. And so it's so easily projected on another person who probably has their own fair share of unfairness. And just like, what is it going to take for us all to just get on a level playing field and be like, no one here is the enemy. It's up above. I don't know. It's going to take a lot.
The only hope that I have is that people say you get more right wing as you get older. And I'm not going to speak for this generation at all, but I can speak for myself. I have got significantly more left wing and, more importantly, significantly gayer the older as I've got.
I'll tell you what gives me hope is that as I've gotten older and gotten into this disability advocacy world, which has only been since 2020, I've felt more welcoming, more accepting. And I feel like the disability advocacy space has really opened up my mind and helped me see, like, okay, disability is like the most intersectional human experience we have as a race. And so I would have thought, oh, being a disability advocate, everyone here in this space is really welcoming. And it's like, no, like the same sort of barriers and prejudices happen within the disabled community. There's hierarchies. But if we're going to overcome all these biases, couldn't it start with the disability advocacy movement? Like, couldn't this like broader acceptance of all of our differences as humans when it comes to race, sexuality, disability, it could start with the disability advocacy movement. And I try to see things as like, okay, we can't take on huge populations or even classrooms or, big groups of people at a time, but maybe if I can get to just one person at a time, like one student, one colleague to kind of click in their brains, oh, like disability advocacy is a worthwhile venture. It just opens up a whole new world for that individual. I've seen things kind of build on that. So that's what gives me hope, even though it's a slow game. It's a long con.
And it's such an interesting point that you make, because you're right. Like, there's no quantifying factors for disability apart from disability. So you can be any race, you can be any gender, any sexuality, any nationality. And, and as your point about the pre-disabled, it can happen at any time. You can be in a car crash, be in a wheelchair tomorrow. Like, there is an element of that, of like potentially being, could this be the stepping stone that shows people the way? I don't know.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
Because of this conversation, we'll publish it on my channel. I think we're going to make it happen.
I think we've sorted it, to be honest.
If you want to hear more conversations like this, hit that like button and subscribe to Disability Clinic for more educational and entertaining content. Until next time, thank you for watching, listening, and learning. General cultural, like, oh, disabled people are not as valuable, or they're worthless, or they're just
don't you worry, the hate is going to come, because I've never got into a taxi and for them to have like active dislike for me, it's just because of the wheelchair, but I think it is coming. unless revolution.
We must rise up together.
Yeah.
Well, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
So thank you for helping me get there to that heavier note.
You're welcome. I like how you went, oh, that wasn't really dark enough for the big heavy.
Yeah, let's really go for it.
Yada.
Yeah, will you include that in the speech when we're rallying everybody?
Yeah. I think Martin Luther King actually had yada in his I Have a Dream speech.